First Lady Jill Biden introduced two of her granddaughters to Spanish Queen Letizia on Tuesday ahead of their visit to a Ukrainian refugee center. The Queen gave warm hugs to Maisy and Finnegan Biden and chatted with the girls, who joined the First Lady on her jaunt to Spain. The Biden women are enjoying a bit of a girls' trip. Maisy, 21, flew with the First Lady to Spain and Finnegan, 22, who was already on the grond, met them at the airport. They enjoyed a glass of wine the night of their arrival and then went shopping on Monday. The threesome beat President Joe Biden to the NATO summit by a couple of days. He arrived Tuesday afternoon, where Jill will join him for some official events. But, in the meantime, she bonded with Queen Letizia over a meeting at the palace and visits to local charity. Jill Biden, 71, and Queen Letizia, 49, visited several Ukrainian refugee families on Tuesday afternoon who were taken in by Spain. The two women sat down with the families to hear their stories and hugged many of the children. They posed for a selfie with a little boy. Maisy and Finnegan, who are the daughters of Hunter Biden and his first wife Kathleen, joined them for the day. The First Lady and the Queen also met with Chef Jose Andres and volunteers at his World Center kitchen. Andres' team has worked in the Ukraine to help humanitarian efforts and are aiding in feeding refugees around Europe. Andres took a selfie with Jill, Letizia and some of his volunteers. He then showed the two women around his operation. The First Lady arrived in the Spanish capital on Sunday. On Monday she was welcomed to the Palacio de la Zarzuela by Queen Letizia, before the pair went on a tour of the headquarters of the Spanish Association Against Cancer. The First Lady is a staunch advocate for research into a cancer cure, after she lost her adult son, Beau, to brain cancer in 2015. Several of her girlfriends also succumbed to breast cancer. I brought my two granddaughters, the First Lady told Letizia as they chatted at the palace on Monday. We stayed up and, had a glass of wine. Maisy and Finnegan did not join Jill Biden at the palace as they were at the U.S. Embassy visiting with Ambassador Julissa Reynoso. Reynoso is Jill Biden's former chief of staff. Jill Biden is in Spain to join the president at the annual NATO meeting. Spain is hosting the 2022 NATO summit in Madrid this year to mark the 40th anniversary of its accession to the international security bloc. The main topics on the agenda will be Russia's invasion of Ukraine and growing aggression from China. Joe and Jill Biden will attend a NATO dinner Tuesday evening with the Spanish royals to kick off the conference. On Wednesday, the First Lady will join the spouses of other NATO leaders in visits to Madrid's Prado and Reina Sofia museums before flying back to Washington. President Biden arrived in Madrid on Tuesday afternoon, where he was greeted by Spanish King Felipe VI, and will be in Spain until Thursday. The two men chatted for several minutes with Biden reaching out several times to pat the king on the shoulder. While at the NATO summit, Biden will announce he is ramping up the U.S. military presence on the eastern flank, a move he promised to make in the wake of Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion on Ukraine. The U.S. will send two more destroyers to Rota, Spain, on the Spanish coast, will be making specific announcements tomorrow on land, sea and air of additional force posture commitments over the long term, beyond the duration of this crisis, however long it goes on. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told reporters on Air Force One on the flight to Madrid. One of those announcements which the president will lay out today when he meets with the Spanish president will be an increase in the number of destroyers based in Rota, Spain, from 4 to 6 destroyers. And Sullivan said there could be more to come. We think by the end of the summit, what you will see is a more robust, more effective, more combat credible, more capable, and more determined force posture to take account of a more acute and aggravated Russian threat, not just because of what they've done in Ukraine, but also because of the way in which they have changed their posture, he said. Russia's invasion of the Ukraine will be a main topic of conversation at the three-day summit, which formally kicks off on Tuesday night with a black-tie dinner. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky will address the NATO leaders virtually on Wednesday. He also addressed G7 leaders earlier this week where he asked for more defensive capabilities and said he wants to see the war finish by year's end. Russia's invasion of the Ukraine also promoted Sweden and Finland to apply to join. But Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is blocking their application to join because he wants them to change their stance on Kurdish rebel groups that Turkey considers terrorists. Biden spoke with Erdogan on Monday night and will sit down with him on Wednesday while they are both in Madrid. Sullivan said the U.S. believes Finland and Sweden have taken significant steps forward in terms of addressing Turkey's concerns. We also believe and are confident that ultimately they will become members of the alliance and that Turkey's concerns will be fully addressed in terms of a bilateral meeting. Additionally, for the first time, the leaders of Japan, Australia, South Korea and New Zealand are attending the NATO summit as guests. President Biden will host a trilateral meeting with the President of Korea and the Prime Minister of Japan to discuss threats from North Korea to the region on Wednesday.